Saturn in Aries, part one. I'm going to try to split this up into multiple videos because I do think this is an incredibly important transit for us to all to work with. I did do a little video about it last week using the whole angels and demons references. TikTok didn't like it and it only had 2 views. So it is still up on my other platforms though if you want to go watch that. I've now tried to record this a couple of times, but I'm having a hard time like getting all my words out there. I do have notes, so we're gonna try. So anytime that a planet enters Aries, this is starting a brand new story. And that is a story that carries through the whole zodiac as that planet moves. You get chances along the way to adjust these stories. The planets will make like squares and it'll like tell you, hey, you need to pivot here or whatever. And with Saturn though, this is a planet that takes almost 30 years to get all the way around. So it's a large portion of our lives. And most of us only get to experience 2 full transits of Saturn from that starting point in our life. I know I'll be 73 when the 3rd one starts, so that's if I make it that long. So there's no way I'm gonna get a 3rd full transit. If you're born with your natal Saturn in Aries, you might, maybe, but most people only get 2. And thinking about that Saturday night after Saturn moved into Aries, it kind of clicked in my head this whole idea of second chances. I brought to mind the fact that I keep getting the Judgment card in my tarot readings, and that's when it kind of all clicked for me. This is that like imagery of Gabriel blowing the horn at the pearly gates and the bodies are rising from the graves. It's the whole idea that you're risen from this spiritual death and a chance to do it again. This is where you get to see, did you learn your lessons? And you get your judgment on that as you go through. And Saturn moving through Pisces was supposed to be that spiritual death. Now, you don't actually have to be a Christian or believe in all of that and this, you know, the being born again stuff to understand this. I'm really just kind of going for the imagery here. And Saturn is the traditional planet of death. Pisces is the sign of spirituality. What we were supposed to do during this was we were supposed to get our spiritual beliefs into like a grounded space, bring some structure to it, get it back down into like a space of reality. Now, I noticed that kind of didn't happen this time around on a collective level. These last couple of signs that Saturn's been in, we've fought against Saturn at every turn as a collective. So I think this is going to be a really difficult start here moving forward. We've had a lot of people who, instead of bringing it into reality, they just went deeper into the escapism of spirituality. And one of the things that I have noticed amongst astrologers particularly, apparently a lot of them are now either ignoring and some just flat out denying the existence of dignities and debilities. And this is really important because Saturn is in its fall in Aries. So now this doesn't mean that it's going to be horrible. You as an individual, knowing this, you can use it in a better way. It just requires a little more self-awareness and self-accountability in order to use it in the positive ways, in the positive manner of Aries, which is like passion and drive and things of that nature. Whereas out in the world around you, where humanity does not like to practice self-awareness, they don't like to take accountability, it's going to play out in the uglier ways of Aries, which is more like violent and pushy and arrogant and childish and things like that. So it is important to acknowledge the dignities and debilities here because that's how we wrap our head around the best ways to use it, understand what it'll look like in the world around us. When we see these things happen around us, how we deal with that. I'm going to break this down into like separate videos and like how we use it as an individual and then also what we will likely see out in the world around us. But for this one, I just kind of want to bring up that this is just a whole cycle. Think back on the last since 1996. What all has conspired since then for yourself and out in the collective? Did you learn these lessons? Where did you really struggle? What did you learn from those struggles? And what tools do you have to be able to start fresh now and navigate this in a different way.